Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. Scott Luton and Allison Giddens here with you on Supply Chain Now. Welcome to today's live stream. Hey, Allison, how you doing today?
Hey, good. How are you?
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. We were just talking in the pre-show. You're fresh off attending the Savannah Bananas and
Yes.
their big performance at Truist Park. Is that right?
Yes, it was fun. It was an overstimulation of
Right.
lots of noise and colors and action, but it was a lot of fun.
I'm with you. All right. So on a scale of 1 to 10, and I'll let this go after this question. One
Okay.
to 10, what would you give the experience?
Oh gosh, an 8.5.
Oh, wow. Okay. All
I
right.
mean, I think what would have made it better was better seats, maybe.
Okay. So
Yeah.
the Savannah Bananas, folks, if you're new to what they're doing with the game of baseball, it's quite the performance. You'll have to Google it and follow up with Allison and get her expert take after today's buzz. Well, Allison, we've got a jam-packed show here today, folks. It's the Buzz, where every Monday at 12 noon Eastern Time, we discuss a variety of news and developments across global supply chain and business. We got lots of great topics here, Allison. Whether we like it or not, we're going to be talking about the new automotive tariff ripple effect. We're going to be talking about the latest on British Steel's troubles. Retailers making big moves with supply chain tech. It's not a new story, but a new wrinkle on that. And you'll never guess who is conducting one of the biggest Easter egg hunts in history. All that and a whole bunch more. Allison, should be a great show, huh?
It will be.
All right. Well, we want to wish Eid Mubarak to all of our friends across the globe that are celebrating this very special day. So, best wishes to you and your families. And two other things before we get going. We got a bunch of folks with us. David is back from Toronto. David, how's the weather up in Toronto? Great to see you. Trisha and Amanda, of course, behind the scenes, helping to make production happen as always. Jim Weber is back with us from Denver, Colorado. I bet it's gorgeous out there this time of year. Claudia from Chicago,
Love
one of
Chicago.
the best cities. I'm with you, Allison. One of the
Man,
best cities in all the land, right?
I love their pizza.
Me too. Pizza. I like all their food.
Yeah.
Sign me up for all of it. But Claudia, great to see you at ProMat a few weeks back. Brandy tuned in from Dallas, that Dallas Fort Worth Metroplex. And Claudia, appreciate that. Best way to start the week, she says, a supply chain buzz. We're here for you. The buzz is here for you, Claudia, and everyone else. So, Allison, two quick things to all of y'all out there before we get going. Number one, give us your take, just like all those wonderful people there. Give us your take in the comments, no matter what social platform you're tuned in. Let us know what you think. We'd love to get your perspective. And secondly, if you enjoy the show today, we'd love for you to share it with a friend, your family, Aunt Edna up in Iowa. No matter, they'll all be glad you did. Allison, that's exactly what you do, right? Share it with
Why not?
friends
Heck
and
yeah.
family.
Yeah, guy on the street, whatever.
Love it. Love it. Okay. Allison, we're going to get started
We
by
got
sharing some resources. Are you good with that?
let's do this.
And how about a chicken driving a pickup truck? How about that for an image?
I did like that when I saw that and I went, that's got to be Scott's post. Yep, sure is.
We named this chicken Henrietta. Henrietta, the pickup truck driving chicken. But there's a reason, folks. So all this came via our the latest edition of With That Said, our almost weekly newsletter, which published over the weekend. We touched on a lot of interesting things, starting with a friendly reminder: National Supply Chain Day coming up April 29th. We're less than a month out, folks. So come join us. Celebrate it wherever you may be and all the people that make supply chain happen. But come join us at 12 noon for a live show that day. Now, back to chickens. The chicken tax. That's why we meant. That's why we included that picture. We dove into the backstory of the chicken tax. I mean, there's a reason that chicken there is driving that pickup truck. Limes. Hey, did you know that Mexico supplies about 92% of all the limes coming into the U.S.? So with the pending increases on tariffs, the prices could as much as double, making those margaritas everywhere a whole bunch more expensive. We feature some perspective from Will Quinn, aka the distribution guy, who reported on Coach Prime, Coach Deion Sanders, in his session at ProMat. You're going to find great resources from our friends at Altium and Zebra Technologies, and you'll also find a lot more live programming coming up. We'd love for you to be a part of. But Allison, I want to touch on one thing that we dove deep on. And folks, Trisha's dropping a link so you can check out With That Said and National Supply Chain Day in the comments. But there's a great article from NPR that gave examples of how companies have been working for years, decades, to get around tariffs for forever. Companies have turned to tariff engineering, reclassification, and recategorization of the products. For example, Marvel persuaded the US government back in the day that its X-Men action figures were, quote, non-human toys rather than dolls, which allowed them to reduce their tariff rate almost in half. Hey, the Snuggie. Do you know what the Snuggie is? Well, there was lots of costly debate as to whether it was a blanket or a garment. In fact, the U.S. Court of International Trade ruled that it was a blanket in 2017, which lowered its tariff over 6%. These are serious things, cost millions of dollars. And then, did you know Columbia Sportswear added pockets below the waistline of some of its women's shirts, all to help ensure that the products do not get categorized as blouses, which in turn saves them some 10% in tariff rates.
And Scott, let me just say, as a woman that loves pockets, the pockets should have been there all along.
I'm with you. I hear that.
I mean,
Allison in particular, I hear that at trade shows, right? Where you're kind of in one set of clothing all day.
oh man.
A lot of women have come and said, I wore something without pockets and it drives them crazy.
I mean, pockets. It's not fair that guys, every single bit of your clothes has pockets. Do you own a pair of pants without pockets?
That's a great question. I was not prepared this Monday morning to answer that, but I'm gonna say no. I love pockets.
Okay, well, see, I bet you that there are far more women that own pants with no pockets than there are.
I think that's a safe bet. But in a broader sense, I think it's we've lived in tariff purgatory for weeks now, right?
Yes.
And I think it's so important to understand via history, like the chicken tax, which was put back in the 60s and wasn't meant to be permanent. I think it's so important that we seek out that historical perspective right now as we try to better understand the landscape and how to find a successful path forward. We're going to touch on that in just a second. Allison, before we leave, Henrietta, anything else stick out to you from this edition of With That Said?
Just that you hit on a couple of things, not just that chicken tax, but there are certain pieces, I think, whether it's taxes or whether it's tariffs or just these kind of sneaky little fees.
Yes.
That it just seems to me like in my industry for a while there was a fuel tax that some vendors were tacking on when gas got pretty pricey for a little while, and most vendors took that off as things came down, as fuel came back down, but some of it kept adding it. And so it's kind of funny to see how some of these tariffs or how some of these taxes are just going to become kind of part of our way of doing things.
So
like
true.
Once people start getting used to paying it, how many of us as consumers are going to speak to sellers and say, okay, well, this is what we're willing to pay.
So true. It's going to there's going to be a sense of normalization, right? And we'll see. I am not an economist, nor am I an electrician. And my father-in-law told me there's two types of electricians: those professionals and morons. I'll call it. I'll kind of soften it on this Monday morning. So don't practice electrician arts at home if you're not a professional. But to your point, there is going to be some normalization. Clearly, so many of us thought that the threats of all these tariffs were going to be not solely, but largely used for negotiation purposes. And as we're all finding out, that doesn't look to be the case. So, Allison, your final word, and then we're going to move on to an easy topic.
Every day is a new crazy.
That's right.
I guess it's just always fun.
That's true. So true. But we're going to get through it, folks. Together, we're going to get through it. Speaking of great people, Donna Krejci, stay safe. Getting ready for some rough weather in North Georgia. It's coming. I'll tell you what, Donna. But great to see you, folks. As I mentioned, we've got With That Said, the link right there in the chat. David managed to avoid the nasty ice storm up there in Toronto this past weekend, David. I sure am glad. And hopefully we got to get some updates on your Jeep spelunking. He takes Jeeps off-road in like some crazy terrain. Let's see. Here's one of the person I was going to mention. Oh, Greg is back with us from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Great to see you, Greg. All right. Got a lot more comments we're getting to here in a second. Catherine, great lunch conversation. Thank you from Connecticut, USA. Catherine, great to see you here today. All right. Sorry. One last comment, folks. David's asking, why isn't Henrietta wearing a seatbelt? What kind of dangerous driving? Well, truth be told, that was an AI generated image. If y'all can't tell.
Wait, what?
Yes.
That's not real?
That is not that's not real. Wow. And that chicken does not have a seatbelt. I got to work on that. All right. So let's do one other thing. Before we got 4 great stories we're going to walk through, folks, so bear with us. But here in the States, it's bracket busting time. So I'm going to check in, Allison, on our supply chain now. NCAA Bracket Busters Challenge. Folks, we had about 20 of our team members, hosts, you name it, join us for a bracket picking challenge for both the NCAA men's and women's tournament, right? The men's Final Four is set. Great games over the weekend. And the women's Final Four will be set after 2 more games tonight. So at this exact minute, late breaking news, this exact minute, here's the standings. Let's see. From the men's side, look at Corinne Bursa. Corinne Bursa, not only is she a supply chain pro, but clearly she's an NCAA basketball pro too. And she's an Auburn Tigers alum. So she's in pole position right now, right? Got a 10-point lead.
Vested interest. She hasn't just picked Auburn to win like meaninglessly like I have.
Maybe, I don't know.
She's got her heart in this.
Maybe, I agree. And she's doing really, really well. So we got Corinne, followed by Tevin Taylor. That's Jake Barr, Trisha, who's with us on production here today. Trisha's doing great. Amanda, and Lloyd Knight.
Why would you pick Duke to win?
I don't know. Oh. All right. So that's the men's side. And Allison, your name is notoriously missing.
We could just keep moving on. It's fine.
On the women's side, we've got Laura up at the top. We've got followed by Joshua. Laura, so everyone got 2 submissions. Both of Laura's on the women's side are doing great. Nice. 2 out of 3. I picked my alma mater, Gamecocks. So there, I'm tied for second, along with Tevin Taylor and others. Marty Parker and Tandria Bellamy rounds out the top 7. So we shall see. I think it's going to be great finish to both men's and women's. I
misunderstood the point of the brackets. I thought we were supposed to score as few points as possible. I thought it was like golf.
Okay.
And so that's why I'm last in both tournaments.
Oh my gosh. Well, you know what? Next year we might do a twist and play the iteration of the game that you saw. But regardless, Allison, best of luck to all of you out there playing brackets. It's an awesome time in the sports world. All right. So let's dive in, Allison, to our first story. And folks, if you don't like tariffs, just tune out for the next 10 minutes or so. But there's some really important developments that we want to tackle here. And we're going to start with automotive tariffs. So Allison, I'm going to kind of unpack this interview here from the PBS News and a few others, and can't wait to get your take. So as many of y'all out there know, because we got the smartest audience in all of global supply chain, the White House is implementing a 25% tariff on all automotive vehicles made outside of the U.S., which is becomes effective this week, as in Wednesday, April 2nd. Now, this interesting interview here from PBS featured Amna Nawaz talking with Gavin Bade, who is a trade and economic policy reporter with the Wall Street Journal. Now, Bade called this perhaps the biggest disruption for the automotive industry since the North American Free Trade Deal, NAFTA, better known as, back in the early 90s. Now, the White House, Allison, the White House is hoping that many of these tariffs will help bring manufacturing back to the U.S., but at what cost, both in the short term and the long term? That's what a lot of folks out there are wondering. So I'm going to try here, Allison. I'm going to try to capture reaction from across the spectrum, right? No matter what your thoughts are. Starting with the United Auto Workers released a statement in support of what they said was, quote, a long overdue shift away from a harmful economic framework. Now, of course, they're hoping this is going to create jobs here in the U.S. over the next couple of years. But on the other hand, the price of autos for consumers are expected to be impacted. Maybe not so much in the short term, because a lot of dealers have been accumulating inventory to be more prepared for the tariff moves. However, according to data from S&P Global Mobility, try to say that just one time fast, 46% of cars sold in the U.S. last year could be subject to these new tariffs. 46%. So from an automotive supply chain professional standpoint, Allison, large degree of uncertainty goes that doesn't even need to be said. For example, automakers are expected to ask for a tidal wave of exemptions, especially for vehicles assembled in Canada and Mexico, or for parts that come in from our friends there. The White House is expected to finalize its tariff schedule on the parts, right? Not the whole vehicles, but the parts themselves, millions, between now and May 3rd. So there's still a lot more to come and a lot more to be figured out. And we all know that uncertainty can be paralyzing. One last thought, because all of this new complexity has no end in sight. Steel and aluminum tariffs are set to take effect this week too. And there are plans to add new tariffs to add more products in the coming weeks and months. I'm talking pharmaceutical products and microchips. Those are said to be two of the sectors being targeted. So, Allison, whether you want me to ask you or not, I'm going to ask you for your take on what we're seeing here, what we may see here, or just your thoughts here, Allison.
Well, first off, I found it interesting. I was seeing a lot in a few articles about how some automakers had front-loaded a bunch of inventory, and they kind of saw the threat of some tariffs, and so they had tried to put a bunch on their lot ahead of time, especially in really as early as November, December, which to me was fascinating because typically in December you're trying to get rid of inventory for tax reasons, but they had front-loaded a bunch and they sat on things. But as recently as a couple of weeks ago, I was driving through my local Toyota dealership for an oil change, and the parking lot was half empty, which I found kind of interesting. And I don't know if it was just poor timing on my part or what, but I think that this, it's going to be really interesting. And I don't know that we're really going to truly get a full picture of effects and connecting dots until maybe decades later, because there's so many things that are happening that I don't know that you're going to feel immediate impacts. You know, there's things that are going to take time, and almost as if the conversation with the union talking about how we're looking forward to, more manufacturing here at home and here in the US. And yes, that's great. Obviously more jobs local, terrific. But that's not something you can just snap your fingers and turn on tomorrow. It's not like everybody's going to have jobs in the next 4 weeks. It's not like everything's going to be made in America in the next 3 months. So I don't know. I mean, I'd love to be hopeful on this kind of thing. I'm just kind of hesitant that a lot of this stuff is, I think there are going to be a lot of rough days ahead as kind of my projection.
Yeah, I'm with you. And, I really, if we had a magic wand, and if unicorns and puppies and all that stuff, if we just knew exactly what we were facing, right? No matter the complexity, if we knew it, right? Going back to whoever the smart person said, a problem well-defined is a problem half solved. The greater challenge that I'm finding as ripple after ripple, sooner than some expected, later than some expected, as it keeps, going out across the global supply chain pond, so to speak, we're still figuring out what the precise challenge is going to be, much less different sectors, different geographic locations, uncertain future tariff actions. I mean, this is a perfect storm in many ways. So, but we're going to work through it. We're going to unpack it day by day, right, Allison? That's the only thing we can do right now.
Yeah, you don't have another choice.
That's right.
What's the other option? Right.
Gosh. But to that end, and let's say David, now David's a friend from Toronto, says the bait and switch is unreal. So much arguing over HS codes and classifications. It's been an everyday adventure. That's right, David. Sure has. I've said this a lot in recent shows, but one retail CEO called it rules of the moment, right? And it's so true. It is so true. Let's see here. Claudia says, "Hey, there's the idea of design for sustainability, and this concept of design for tariffs compliance. Very unique."
Yeah.
Claudia, that's right. And you know what? It will become lesser and lesser unique and much more commonplace probably in the months and years ahead. Okay. So stay tuned, folks. We're dropping a link to that story, the PBS News story. You'll enjoy that interview, the transcript, and you also can watch it as well. All right, Allison, we are going to move from tariffs to steel. And you know what? It's all interrelated, right? It's all interrelated. British Steel in particular. So, as reported by Reuters, British Steel, which is owned by China, is looking at closing its two blast furnaces in northeast England. Not only would that come at a cost of some 2,700 jobs, sadly, but it would make the United Kingdom the only country in the G7 that doesn't produce steel from scratch. How about that? Yeah. The operations have been losing money for reportedly years. I think one figure I saw is that they're losing close to $1 million every day, Allison. And of course, new U.S. tariffs aren't going to help that at all. British Steel has been in talks with the UK government for months, looking at a variety of options. That hasn't led to a remedy yet. So they're looking at a shutdown plan. The earliest of a potential closure for these facilities we're talking about would be June. So we got a bit of a window here. The United Kingdom was the world's biggest steel producer in the 19th century. Man, how the market industry has shifted. The country is now looking to shift its production processes to leverage less carbon-intensive electric arc furnaces, which make new steel from recycled steel. How about that? That will be driven in part by 2.5 billion pounds of earmarked funds from the UK government, which is supposed to be releasing its plans for the steel sector, its domestic steel sector, in the next month or two. One last thought. And Allison, I'm not going to pronounce this word right, but it's not going to stop me from trying. Nippon Steel, right? The Japanese company, and U.S. Steel are still trying to salvage their $14 billion merger. Now, according to Semaphore, and folks, if you haven't been checking out the great content Semaphore has been putting out there, add it to your list. But according to Semaphore, they are negotiating with the White House, who is supposedly seeking billions of dollars of investment in outdated U.S. manufacturing sites like Rust Belt, as well as more clarity on the impact of any possible merger. All right, Allison, back on this British Steel story here. Your thoughts?
Yeah, this is sad. I've got a bunch of friends in the UK, and I know how hard they've been working to really push and really to just to support UK manufacturing. And I know this has got to be a blow. This is one of those. I think that it's really going to be. We're going to see the play with domestic steel here at home. We're going to see those interwoven pieces of the supply chain in general. In the aerospace market, we have to pay attention to domestic material, and we have to pay attention to where we're getting material. And it's not just about US material, but if everybody is paying more attention to where they're getting material based on tariffs, then that just means that the demand for that local material is going to go up, and so is the price. So all it takes is now the supply for the material elsewhere and your supply for your choices to go down, and you've got kind of a compounded problem. And this is going to be really interesting. I know that that Nippon Steel, I guess for a long time there was question as to whether or not the U.S. administration was going to allow for an investment or not. And I guess now we are going to allow for a little bit of an investment for a few reasons. And so I think that kind of overcomplication with more of international fingers or cooks in the kitchen, so to speak, that's going to be interesting. And I think from an aerospace manufacturer perspective, it's going to be fascinating to see how that's kind of allowed, because those are really big pieces of the market. And those are big pieces of the supply chain. You can't just all of a sudden say, okay, now that British steel is no longer an option, or hey, now that these people are now owned by countries that were no longer on this list or are on this list, you can make F-35 parts out of this material.
Right.
This is going to be a wild ride.
It's so true, Allison. It's so true. Your comments reminded me of my time in metal stamping, where I was introduced to the very complex world of metallurgy. And folks, I can barely spell metallurgy, much less but all kidding aside, to be able to validate and audit all the different types of metals and steels and certify it, all the different suppliers. I mean, very complex. To Allison's point of, when the maker of the F-35, which was it Boeing or is it?
It's Lockheed and Northrop are kind of partnering on pieces of it.
So when they are calling for a certain type of components made out of a certain type of metal or you name it, you've got to be able to authenticate that. And when these big industry shifts start taking place and you move to making and manufacturing from different facilities with different dynamics at each, based on where they are or who's running it or you name it, the day of the week, things get shaky in a hurry. So Allison, now Allison, I'm going to ask you another question. This image here, this is not from British Steel, but you'll see that big old, what are those things called? A smelt? Is that a
smelter, maybe?
Something like that.
Big furnace. Yeah,
Have you ever been to a steel foundry, Allison?
No, and it's funny. I've actually tried to figure out how to get a tour at one or two when the opportunity kind of came up. I've never been able to.
Okay, I have been exactly one time.
Ooh.
And I'd love to go back. I'd love to take my kids. In fact, we'll work that out. It was here in Georgia. It was up in the Rome area, and I'm not sure. It was a big old facility. Not sure if it's still here or not. This was probably 10, 12, 14 years ago. Anyway, I mean, you got molten steel going across on the gantry cranes and stuff, and all these loud sounds and smells. I mean, I needed a Marlboro Red and a Budweiser fully loaded after the end of it. It is that type of, I've been in and out more than 300 plants and facilities in my lifetime. And that by far, even some of the car plants I've been in wasn't nearly as, I'll call it, intimidating as a steel foundry. So Allison, we're going to have to get in. We're going to have to check, see if that foundry is still around. And I know you've been in and out of probably 1,000 facilities in your journey, huh?
I don't know about 1,000, probably half as many as maybe a third of yours, maybe 50 or 100. Yeah, not nearly as many. No.
We're going to get Arthur Anderson, if they're still around, to audit, because I bet you're lapping me a couple times. But regardless, folks, if you get a chance to tour any plant, especially a foundry, check it out. Okay, so we're going to keep our finger on the pulse of what's going on with British Steel. And gosh, I certainly hope all those families behind those 2,700 jobs, hope there's a plan to salvage the current operations.
It's tough. It's kind of, like I said, it's heartbreaking too, because there's a need for these types of pieces of the puzzle in manufacturing, and that step. And then there's the steps of the after manufacturing process, like the finishes, the chemical finishes. Those are two types of things in manufacturing that you can't really make pretty. You can't make glamorous. Manufacturing, you can clean up. You can talk about 3D printing, and you can talk about how cool it is. But smelting, chemical film. These are things that they are smelly. They to a degree, they are kind of dangerous. There are things that you got OSHA coming in now and then, or more than now and then. And I just think that those are the things that workforce development wise, those are the things that are suffering most. And so when you hear stories like this, you're just kind of like, oh, you got everything working against you. It's tough. I don't know what the future holds for that.
Me nor you both. But speaking of workforce, folks, stay tuned. We had a wonderful edition of our new series called The Bridge last week. It was fascinating. So check out that on demand. One of our future sessions, I think we're scheduled for May, Allison.
Yes.
We've got a couple of experts along with Allison to talk workforce management, both now and in the future, including some innovative best practices that unique organizations and unique leaders are doing. So stay tuned for that. Okay, Allison, David to the rescue. As a crucible.
That's it.
Crucible.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And yes, it is a dirty, at least it was when I toured it. I bet it hasn't changed a whole bunch. David says it's dirty, casting sand up to your knees. So one last comment about this Foundry experience, Allison. So as we spent, an hour or more walking our way through this massive, highly industrial facility, right? I mean, my eyes were just on a swivel. I was just trying to take it all in. And as I mentioned, it was really intimidating, but I was trying to act like, oh, yeah, I've been there before, Well, we get to a certain point and I'm watching, it's like an observation deck watching, I guess, a crucible being poured, right? And it's straight out of a movie scene, right? And all of a sudden, a loud air horn comes right over my right shoulder and a whoosh of air down my neck. And I thought I was a goner. It was all I could do to fight every urge from jumping right out of my socks, right? Especially around all those folks. So boundaries, folks, I'm telling you what. All right. So where are we going next? So you know what I want to do, Allison? I want to go back to a couple comments here. Let's see. Rebecca's tuned in from Tel Aviv, sunny Tel Aviv. Rebecca, I'd love to know, how hot is it over there in Israel right now? But great to have you here, Rebecca. Let's see. Jim, I'm assuming he's a Purdue fan. The Boilermakers were robbed. I did not see that game, Allison. I don't know if you saw that game.
No, I did not.
But you know what? I'm taking Jim's word for it.
Because I will.
He's a smart individual.
I don't have a dog in the fight anymore. So you know what? Jim's right. Jim is absolutely right.
Oh, my gosh. So y'all keep, and Joshua loves Joshua Paramore. Great to see you. Joshua loves Rome, Georgia.
All right, here's a trivia question for you, Scott.
Okay.
Rome. All right. They recently renamed their minor league baseball team about a year or two ago.
Okay.
What was their old name and what's their new name? Rome, Georgia.
Okay. I want to say that their old name, since at least they were affiliated with the Braves, was the Rome Braves, right?
Very good. Okay. All right. What are they now?
And their new name, which I saw this somewhere, but I'm going to say the Lookouts, but that's not it.
No.
What is it?
The Emperors.
Really? Okay.
So Rome Emperors, but their mascot is a penguin. Get it? The Rome Emperors.
Oh, Emperor Penguins.
I love it. So fun.
Who would have thought? We're having such a heavy baseball element in today's edition of the Buzz.
This is the your sports Monday. It's that Venn diagram of March Madness overlaps opening day baseball.
Oh, so, yeah. I love it. And NFL draft right around the corner.
There you go.
Hey, I want to pull out Joshua one more time. So Joshua, folks, is a current U.S. Army soldier that's transitioning after serving our country for a long time. He's moving into the civilian side of the global supply chain world. So I want to make a simple request here. Would you reach out and connect with Joshua? I'll tell you, he's really bright. I've been seeing his comments through some recent live episodes, live streams and webinars and the like. And we all know, when I left the Air Force back in 2002, I did not have a professional network, and that really hinders our veterans as they get out there looking for interviews, opportunities, so reach out and connect with Joshua, and you'll be glad you did. Okay.
Thanks for your service, Joshua.
That's right. That is right. Let's see here. We're going to move over to a lighter topic. I love talking about retail, and I think it's mainly because, Allison, we talk about it and have done it in many cases on the supply chain side, but we're all consumers of retail, and it gives you that extra layer to learn from. So this third story here today, retail behemoths continue to invest in the golden age of supply chain tech. Interesting read here from our friends at Modern Retail. Now, fast, reliable delivery is still atop the wish list rather, for many consumers everywhere. In fact, get this, Walmart CEO Doug McMillon recently said that he wished more consumers knew about their increasing delivery speed. They're not stopping. In fourth quarter 2024, Walmart expanded its same-day delivery to reach 93,000 or 93% rather of U.S. households. Same-day delivery to 93% of all U.S. households. And get this, that's a massive improvement over the 80% of U.S. households it was just about a year prior. Now, Target and others are also engaging in the same-day delivery arms race. How are these retailers making gains? Well, a mixture of old and new things. They're investing in things like data management and analytics, innovative demand forecasting, never is easy, making artificial intelligence investments that target improving pickup and delivery options at stores, and improved inventory reliability that eliminates more of those pesky stockouts. They're also expanding the use of RFID to improve fulfillment speeds. As most of y'all know out there, a lot more automated facilities, a lot more urban fulfillment facilities. I need to slow down on that one. And leveraging machine learning and other technologies to share more accurate delivery updates to customers. Talk about customer experience. Some retailers are just outsourcing delivery entirely and letting their partners figure it out. But Allison, here's my favorite passage from this article. Amidst what I would call the race to the bottom when it comes to delivery speeds, that I feel like we're kind of in that race.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Enright, a retail supply chain analyst with Gartner, said that 3 to 5 years ago, all the retailers were racing to keep up with Amazon and that proverbial Amazon effect. But since then, some organizations have learned that customers actually don't mind waiting. Sounds weird to say, but hey, experts, that's what they're saying. Enright says that 70% of e-commerce spending, 70%, is spent by folks who wait more than 3 days for shipping. Now, it doesn't mean that they, quote unquote, happy wait, but I'll take a quote unquote willing wait. Small wins, right? Small wins. One last thought. I've talked about this countless times. Allison, probably with you sometimes. I love the greener shipping options that Amazon has rolled out in the last couple of years, and would love to see more and more retailers and e-commerce players do the same. Because as Tom Enright suggests, that undercurrent of folks that are okay with waiting a week for a pair of socks that they may not need until it gets cold again. But Allison, your thoughts on what these retail behemoths are doing?
Yeah, I can see that too. I've noticed the same, and I'm with you on the waiting. There are very few things that like I need yesterday, but it's funny, the stuff that I need yesterday, like I need yesterday. But that kind of stuff, I really do need to justify just walking into the stupid store and buying it. You know what I mean?
Like, I do.
Right. But I mean, things like the other day, my husband really needed to buy something for work and needed to buy something and be at work the next morning.
Yep.
But he had worked a very, very long day. And so he justified being able to order from Amazon and do next day delivery between 4 and 7 a.m. So then he wouldn't have to wake up earlier to go to the store. So it saved, he was able to sleep an extra hour. So that was nice. So those kinds of things are convenient, but I'm with you. There are plenty of times throughout the week that I'm like, oh, I need vitamins, or, oh, I need this. I don't need it today. But if I can choose, okay, everything just be delivered on that one day a week for Amazon's, save a box and whatever, It just makes my life easier, because admittedly, my laziness, then it's one less thing I have to pick up from the front porch. Or it's also one less thing that the delivery person can leave out in the rain.
Right.
So those kinds of things. But no, I've noticed with other delivery people or other companies as well, it does feel like they're trying to keep up with the Joneses in a way.
Oh, no
It
doubt.
does feel like I ordered a shirt the other day, and within 2 days it was there. I'm like, I didn't pay for quicker shipping. I didn't need this that quickly. But thanks.
So given those examples, those are, and it's difficult to draw highly generalized learnings when all of us have different preferences, different needs.
Yes.
All orders aren't alike, right? But I'm going to take a pulse check out there. So folks, Joshua, Trisha, Claudia. Hey, I see my mom, Leah Luton. Your mom's here. My mom's here. How about that?
Now we have to be on our best behavior.
Right. We need to have a summit of the moms. But here's what I want to take a pulse check on. Do you find yourself as the e-commerce age has continued to evolve, because we've been ordering online now for what, 10 years, maybe 12 years, maybe 20 years. I can't even keep count. But do you find yourself tend to be more willing to wait and less in a rush, generally speaking? Or are you kind of on the other side of the coin where you're going to get it as fast as they're going to get it, especially if it's free each and every time, no matter when you need it? I'd love for y'all to weigh in. And let's call that on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 to 10. Give us a number. Number 1 being give it to me next hour. Or number 10 being, hey, I order ahead of time. I'm okay waiting a little bit. And when it comes, I forgot what I ordered anyway. So 1 to 10, let us know what you think. And Allison, you're laughing because you've done that. I know I've done that.
Yeah. Oh, there are plenty of times. Matt will pick something. What did you order? I don't know. Right.
All right. So Amanda's already weighing in. I should have expected this. I want my orders as quickly as they can get them to me, as long as it's free. Mm-hmm. That probably is going to be the plurality, if not the majority of folks out there. Allison, do you think that's a safe bet?
Yeah, probably. It is. Well, it's an instant gratification thing too. Right. I think it just speaks to us just as a population too. We're all, myself included, I have no patience.
Yes. Let's see. We're getting our first number. Jim says he's a 3. Okay. I bet that is probably, I would have figured most folks are 1 to 5. I'm not sure how many 10s or 9s or 8s, they're going to be, but Jim's being fair. He's about a 3. My mom, Leah Luton, the pride of Aiken, South Carolina, says, I'm spoiled. I want it now. So Leah and Amanda are in the same bucket. And David's asking, why start now, Allison?
See? He's right.
Oh, my sense of time. I've just read an article. I can't remember where it was. It was in a European magazine over the weekend about how, depending on what you're going through in life, we have different perceptions of the passage of time, right? Mm-hmm. And clearly mine, I'm having a less accurate version of the passage of time, because Claudia says, according to AI at least, the first documented secure online e-commerce transaction occurred on August 11th, 1994. How about that? Wow. And the item was Dan Cohn sold a CD compact disc, for those of you may be new to that, of Sting's 10 Summoners Tales to a friend for $12.48 plus shipping. How about that? Claudia, excellent. John Bell says he's a 6. Hey, it's the first time someone over. I like that. I bet I'm a 6 or 7, John.
Teach me your ways. Yeah.
Jim says that 3 means just in time.
Okay.
Hey,
that's okay. I see what he did there. All right.
David says the novelty of instant delivery has wore off. He's a 3.
Yeah.
All right. And finally, Amanda, I've been ordering online since I was in college.
Yeah.
In the early 2000s, lots of eBay. How about that?
Yep.
Okay. I think e-commerce and retail and supply chain, that intersection is one of the most fascinating parts of all of global business.
I just think about how rich I would be if it weren't for Amazon.
Oh gosh, you'd be like Scrooge McDuck diving in his coins, huh?
Oh my gosh.
Well, let's talk about another timely topic, Allison. I want to talk about this interesting story via food manufacturing. And it may not be a true Easter egg hunt, but the USDA, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, is on a massive egg hunt. In fact, the USDA has approached countries such as Germany, Italy, Poland, and Sweden in a search for more egg imports to help with egg supply and prices here in the U.S. Some industry experts say, see what I did there, Allison? See what I did there? Some industry say there's a shortage of, get this, 50 million eggs a day here in the States. That number is a lot bigger than I would anticipate. However, one specific challenge exists that may need a workaround. It will need a workaround. No, we're not talking about the avian flu outbreaks. This comes in cycles, right? It's impacting a lot more countries than just the U.S. And no, I'm not talking about the surge in demand with the Easter holiday around the corner. Everybody's going to be dyeing those Easter eggs or making deviled eggs. I'm talking about safety standards. So this article speaks to this. In the U.S., regulations require that fresh eggs be sanitized and refrigerated before they're able to be purchased in stores. In Europe, EU regulations call for grade A eggs to be unwashed and without refrigeration. In fact, in most of the 27 EU member nations, eggs go uncleaned because of concerns that any washing may remove the natural protective coatings that eggshells have, making the eggs more vulnerable to bacteria. All right, Allison, your thoughts on the great egg hunt?
Man, so I had Waffle House this weekend.
Okay.
And I had scrambled eggs. And about halfway through my scrambled eggs, I was full. I was done, and I felt guilty for not eating the rest of my eggs because I thought there is a starving child somewhere out there, probably in the U.S. that wishes that they had these scrambled eggs.
You know what? I am glad you feel guilty. Was it 2 eggs?
It was 2 eggs.
Allison.
2 eggs, toast, and hash browns. And
2 eggs. 2 eggs is like 3 spoonfuls. You could not finish.
I know, I'm sorry. Well, it was also 3 pieces of bacon, and I had two of the pieces of bacon.
Guilty as charged. I get that now.
Right, sorry.
I get that.
Right.
So what do you think? That 50 million shortage of eggs per day, that seems way too high.
That stuff's got to go into thing. Like, I don't think it's just flat out people buying eggs to do. I think those eggs are going into things. If you think about, fresh eggs to make baked goods,
right?
If you think about all those kinds of, but I do find it really interesting, the whole the safety pieces, because I've got friends of mine who raise chickens, and I've had fresh eggs from them before, and they've told me, they've given me eggs in cartons, and they're like, don't put these in the refrigerator. Don't wash these eggs.
Right.
And I listen to them. I do. And knock on wood, I'm still here. I'm okay. I've not gotten sick. But do I want the U.S. to change their safety standards? I don't know. I don't think so.
I'm kind of with you. When we go to the farmer's market, and I didn't really think about this until you just shared that. I love the farmer's market, as many of our folks out there know. I love the farmer's market. It's coming on in the next few weeks. Whenever we get eggs, Amanda leaves them on the counter because since they're farmer's eggs, they can last longer like that. And I guess probably also to that safety component, because there's something about eggs that makes me like extra particular about temperatures and all that stuff. Are you the same way, Allison?
Oh yeah, I'm not going to gross anyone out on a bad experience I had in 2018. It's a long story.
Oh.
No, but I did see a funny little short on somebody painting an avocado, joking and saying that because eggs were so expensive this year, they would be painting avocados.
But avocados are going to be going up too.
Exactly. But I think that was kind of the joke, is that
I'm a little slow sometimes. I got you now.
It's okay.
But most, you walk through the produce section, and just about everything you set your eyes on, we're going to be seeing price increases here in the States, right?
Yep.
Let me ask you this on the topic of eggs. And here's another question to our audience out there. I'm curious whether it's for Easter or any other family get together. Deviled eggs. Do you love them? Let's call it a 10, right? You love them, can't get enough of them, would eat them every day. Or are you a 1 because you're not a big fan of deviled eggs? Now, Allison, Amanda's probably a 10. I'm probably like a 4. I like 1 or 2 with some. I got to have hot sauce on them because I don't like them plain. It's a little too eggy for me. How about yourself?
I'm probably a 5 or a 6. Like, I'll have 1.
Okay. Yeah. All right. This is probably Amanda.
It's got to be really cold. Like, they've got to be really cold.
Yes.
Don't have them sitting out for.
Same. Amanda says, I've seen a bunch of egg substitutes for dyeing eggs this year since they're so expensive. Artificial eggs, fabric eggs, etc., instead of hard-boiled eggs for coloring with the kids. I'm not sure. Our kids are, middle school, high school. I'm not sure how cool dyeing eggs are anymore. But we shall see.
I still dye eggs with my mom.
Really?
Heck yeah, I do.
I feel like I hadn't dyed an egg in 40 years.
Man.
I could be wrong.
I don't think we did last year because of schedule craziness, but We have plenty of times. And in fact, we like the ones where you take the wax crayon and you write secret messages to each other. Yeah.
Those are good. That
Yeah.
was cool back in the day. Let's see. Trisha says no deviled eggs for Trisha. That's where I was kind of growing up, Trisha. I was not a big deviled egg fan. I've softened a bit here. Claudia says a 10. So her and Amanda, best buddies, because Amanda loves deviled eggs too. Now get this. Jim says an 8. I would date deviled eggs. All right, Jim.
This is a judgment-free zone.
That's right. Judgment-free. Jim says he's an 8. I would date deviled eggs if society didn't judge me and my lifestyle choices. I love that, Jim.
This is terrible.
All right. So back on the supply chain adult side, the one and only Korai Koze. Folks, before I read his comment here, if you're not following Korai's blog articles, I'm talking it. Folks talk about keeping it real. Korai brings it each and every time. Korai, you need to drop the link to one of your latest ones in the comments so I can share that. But great to see you, my friend. Korai Kose says, egg resilience. Europe's decentralized egg production softens the impact of avian flu, unlike the U.S., where concentrated farms worsen shortages. Back to supply chain resilience. Excellent comment there, Korai. Great to see you, my friend. All right. We've got one more really important thing to get to. So we're going to cut out all the egg fun. Allison, I'm a huge fan of the Dave Krejci Foundation. I love the work you are doing. So I got a 2-part question for you. For any of our new audience listeners and watchers that weren't with us one of your previous appearances where we talked about it, would you tell us what y'all do at the Dave Krejci Foundation? And secondly, how can folks jump in and help support the mission?
Absolutely. Thanks so much. And we really appreciate your tremendous support. So the Dave Krejci Foundation helps kids play sports when their families cannot afford it. We're focused in the metro Atlanta area. We're starting to see lots of other nonprofits like us pop up all over the place. So we're really excited to see that. And we encourage others all over the country to copy us and pop up all over the country. There needs to be us's all over the country. So please look at our website, copy things, and go do your thing. But yeah, we've helped over 1,800 kids. We help pay the registration fees so that they can stay on the court, stay on the field. And we appreciate your support, Supply Chain Now support, Scott Luton, Amanda, y'all support. And they can connect with us on LinkedIn, through the website. Love to see you. Love to, we've got a couple of fundraisers local to Marietta area and the Atlanta area coming up. We've got a pickleball tournament coming up. Date change might be happening, so I'm not going to share that just yet. But we've got a wine market fundraiser coming up on Derby Day. So lots of little things, but we'd love to see anybody around.
I love that. The mission is so beautifully geared towards practical, powerful outcomes. And simplicity is a great thing. So I mean this is a comment, but the simplicity of y'all's mission, problem, meet, solution, and it's for the kids. Over 1,800 kids have been enabled to get the equipment they need or the fees picked up because, gosh, y'all parents out there or anyone should know these organizational fees, the activity fees, the medical fees. Oh, to play sports, it's just it's expensive. So the Dave Krejci Foundation, I'm gonna call out the website, folks. The DaveKrejci.com, right?
Yep, you got it.
Dave, D-A-V-E, Krejci, K-R-A-C-H-E.com. It's just that easy. And going back to your other comment, Allison, this is a huge opportunity. We had Rebecca from Tel Aviv. We had Jim from, where's Jim from? Colorado. Let's see. No, Jim, where's Jim from? Well, my point is we got folks from all around the country and all around the world tuned in with us here. Man, start a local chapter, local organization doing this in your own neck of the woods. And Allison, not putting you on the spot, but kind of to put you on the spot. If folks wanted to call you, reach out, pick your brain a bit, get some best practices of how they can do a similar mission in their own neck of the woods, would you be open to that?
Well, to be honest with you, everything is really transparent on our website. So if I mean, you're welcome to email me, but to be quite honest, with as crazy busy as I am, I would love to respond, and I probably will, but you're going to get a lot better, quicker responses just stealing stuff off our website. I hate to say it, but please,
Dave.
yes. I would love for people to take stuff off our website. We've got our application there, so you can kind of see how we operate. We've got our frequently asked questions, so you can kind of start there and see how we operate and get a lot answered there. But I encourage you, please check it out, copy us, and help more kids throughout the country, throughout the world.
That's right. DaveCraichie.com.
Yes.
Good stuff. Yeah, Jim, Denver. I knew that. I was getting you. I got my wires crossed. I thought you were from Denver. And answer this for us, Jim. Are you a Purdue fan? Maybe even a Purdue alum? We'll see. Or did you just think that they got robbed, which Allison agreed with you on? I did not see the game. David says the fee for fees. That's kind of the world we live in. Gosh, it's so expensive. Okay. What an outstanding edition of The Buzz. Allison, always we have a blast each and every time
we do.
You come back and join us. I love your perspective. Of course, you're leading a manufacturing organization. You're from industry. You know more about this stuff than a lot of folks out there. Always learn plenty of stuff here. Let's see. We're dropping your LinkedIn. Folks can connect with Allison there. Claudia's asking a good question. Who was
that?
Dave
Would have been
Krejci?
helpful for me to tell you.
Yes.
Dave Krejci is my late dad. He was a sports fanatic, and when we lost him unexpectedly in 2009, we thought, my mom and my sister and I, we wanted to do something in his honor, in his name, and we thought, let's do a scholarship. And then we were like, no, that's not really. He was a fun guy, so let's do something more fun. And I was volunteering at the time for a little kids softball team, and one thing led to the other, and we knew that how much he loved sports. I mean, if it wasn't March Madness, then it was baseball, then it was football, then it was, you name it. So one thing led to the other, and thus the Dave Krejci Foundation was born.
Love it.
Thanks
love
for
the
asking.
story. Love the mission. Love the outcomes. And love that you're willing to share and be transparent so other folks can learn and hopefully do some similar things out there. Jim says,
please connect with me. 2 degrees.
2 degrees from Purdue.
Nice.
Goodness gracious.
Well, then you should be twice as angry that they got robbed.
That's right. That is right. All right, folks, I hate to wrap. Really have enjoyed all of y'all's perspective and responses. I know we couldn't hit everybody's here today, but thank you so much. If you want to learn more about our Supply Chain Now ecosystem, you can find us via that link right there from our friends, from our friend Trisha and Amanda behind the scenes today, helping to make production happen. Big thanks to them. Big thanks to Allison Giddens with Win Tech Inc. and the Dave Krejci Foundation. Allison, thanks for being here.
Thanks so much for having me.
You bet. Most importantly, big thanks to that smart, savvy global audience, the smartest in all of global supply chain, for being here with us and all the great comments and perspectives that y'all shared. Folks, hope you enjoyed the show as much as I have, or maybe even like half as much. I'd be really pleased if you enjoyed it half as much as what I enjoyed today. But we're going to work together. We're going to find a more successful path forward, despite all the friction and complexity that we have by the container load right now. We get it. And you know that's going to take action, real action, deeds, not words, and lots of goodwill. I'm keeping the faith every single hour. How about you? So with all that said, on behalf of the entire Supply Chain Now team, Scott Luton here, challenging you, do good, give forward, be the change that's needed. And we'll see you next time right back here on Supply Chain Now. Thanks, everybody.